Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just doing a quick sound test. Can you hear me okay? There's no too much echo? Okay, perfect. So we are here, and I should have opened this first so you guys could see the cover picture first, but we'll wait for a minute. Um, First of all, put in the chat how everyone's doing. Very um, This is very thrilling for me. We have been working I have been working in digital ATN for since it started back in 2021. And a lot of this has been a progress across the years, looking at different factors that agencies were having regarding learners. Some of the factors that that were pretty much identical across agencies, but when they were coupled with with other secondary factors, made each agency unique. And a lot of this just provided this complicated puzzle that we had to figure out and put everything together in order to to be able to accommodate to everyone. And for me, the ideal scenario was to have something that everyone can use. And looking at different states and different what standards that agencies were doing and how they were implementing technology and how they were identifying all these factors was very interesting for me because, as you know, I love technology. So for me, figuring out and see the creative ways that different states were working on made everything interesting. That ultimately lended me to see over 1,000 different standards and different areas and different skills that being targeted and all of that. So while it was very exciting, it was very taxing. So throughout the years in digital ATN, we started to work on, which most of you have already attended at least one of our sessions on the digital literacy curricula. And basically, if you haven't had a chance to attend any of these, we take the Bridges framework and we align the standards from in lessons and activities and strategies from Google Applied Digital Skills, North Star Digital Literacy, and DART. And we align them so that we could have this, instead of one table, three tables worth of things that we could do to use for our learners. Because the big challenge here was we had excellent curricula, but our learners were not there. They were one or two levels below, and that just allowed us to still have to do a lot of the figuring out piece. With Bridges, because of how the standards are written in plain language, it just gave us an opportunity to really look into a common ground or a foundation to see or be able to put these pieces together, even though they were not targeting the same population based on how the curriculum was written. And this brought us to first, we started with Google. It was too advanced for some learners. North Star, we are excited that we have North Star as a statewide license that you can use. And it gives you a lot of data, which again, that's another, there's two things if you know about me, it's data and technology. And that was another piece, and that was, both. And it was still not as accessible for many of the learners. So from there, we then we did a start pilot across some of the agencies to really target that lower level. And that gave us that spectrum that we know today that we have been promoting since we started our digital literacy curricula session series. Today, well, actually, before I go into that, I'm going to Mentimeter so we can answer a couple questions and get your thoughts, and then we're going to go and see the big unveil today. So right now, it would be, let me move us. We are in the way. There's a Mentimeter scan here, and then I'm going to put it in the chat as well so you guys can see it. So it's 19. You can see the Menti. Oh, I should need to reshare it. 1 second. Okay, there's two. Okay, perfect. So you can select up to three. And the question is, if you had to choose one area to strengthen first at your agency, what would it be? And again, I have ourselves here. I need to move a little bit to the side. We have learner readiness, curriculum alignment, teacher support, digital skill practice, technology access, and implementation training. For anyone that's actually watching the recording, this is going to be on running for a full week as of the day that we are doing this recording, which is May 14th. So you'll have an opportunity to respond for this week. So we could get this tallied and we could share with everybody. Teacher support. Teacher support is an important one. That was one of the ones that I did a lot for back in my agency. Perfect. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This is an open-ended question, and this is thinking about your learners. Where do you see the biggest gap between learner readiness and the digital skills expected during instruction? There's no right answer here. So whatever speaks to you, whatever comes to your mind when you hear this question, you could put in the chat. I mean, in the Menti. If you have a phone, you can scan the QR code. Attendance and willingness to speak English outside of the classroom. That is a huge factor in determining how fast they could grab those concepts and the amount of time that they practice. One specific example of a gap. Beginning ESL students need support using their Chromebooks to access beginning ESL lessons in Burlington English. Very specific. Yes, that's true. And sometimes it's just having that extra pair of hands to do that process. And they could be able to troubleshoot, of course. I give it one more minute just to make sure that if you're typing anything, you can see it. I will leave this again open. So if any responses come in after, once we share the recording, you can respond as well. Attendance and speaking, practicing English outside of the classroom. Students also need training in Google Apps. Yes. I'm interested as people continue to respond. Is there any what is your platform that you use? You can put it in the chat. So do you use Google Apps? Do you use Microsoft Office? Do you use both? Do you use something else? What is that tool that students like Burlington English, as an example, that students just continue to use that we had with digital navigators what we called EdTech routines. So it's almost like they're using it consistently in the classroom, not necessarily every day, but they're using it at least like weekly or bi-weekly or so. Oh, having the chat attendance and speaking, practicing English outside the classroom. Oh, there you go. Okay, thank you, Mary Kate. Google District, Google Classroom, Google Classroom. Okay, Burlington English. Yeah, sometimes it's multiple, right? So then you're managing more than one tool, and then it's you sign in differently across every day. Awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing. Again, this will stay up. So once you get the slides, if anyone just watching the recording, you could provide a response. If you rewatch it and you want to add something else, you can as well. Google Classroom and Burlington English every day. Yeah, awesome. Thank you everyone for participating. So as we were talking about, right, we were talking about digital literacy curricula. And pretty much the curricula had our, or has, right, because it's still here. It has our three options, our dark curriculum, our North Star digital literacy, and our Google. But what we are releasing today is the second part of our learning plan, which encompasses everything that we've gone up to this point with digital literacy and curricula and aligning skills with bridges and other frameworks. And to access that, and I'll put the link in the chat once we go in, you'll go to the digital learning plan right here, and you will go to About. And here there's been a couple changes on our updates on our website. The first one being that we have multiple sections here because those that were attended last year, we had our first part of the digital learning plan, which was a digital navigator. And in this plan, we have, how the role of digital navigator supports adult learners, how it supports teachers and staff, how it supports agencies, but also the community partnerships that you might have um, at your agency. And now, with the new release of our second part of the plan, we have our digital learning plan part two, which is building a learner-centered digital literacy ecosystem. And this one, as you can see, it has to do with the digital literacy curricula. We're talking about frameworks, we're talking about curricula. And the goal with this plan is to go over, there we go over, I'll click on it so you can see it. We have some ways that it can support teachers and adult learners, agencies, and instructional planning. So when we click here on the link, oh, I said I was going to share the link. My bad. Give me 1 second. There you go. Doing a live demonstration and working on slides is different mindset, even though it's still presenting. So again, that's another example of adapting to the way that you're doing things, right? So here we go. So let's go to the plan. Oh, this is a little small. Let me see if I could hide this. There we go. It's a little better. Okay. So we have here our navigator, our digital literacy curricula plan here. And how this is designed is that we split this in two pieces. You have the beginning, which giving you the context, the situations that we've gone through with different agencies, or the different factors that come into play when we're working with learners in developing digital literacy. And then we have the appendices. The appendices are going to have everything, all the tools that we've put together up to this point. So if you are pretty much familiar with the curricula and the backstory of it, and you know the context, you're very well versed, then you could go into the appendices and look at the different parts of the different tools that we have available, which I will showcase a little bit here um, with you. Um, However, if you do need a little bit more, just kind of look at some of the context, then the first part of this plan is going to have all of we have definitions and key terminology. We have different parts here, introducing the digital literacy ecosystem and how we pieced everything together with bridges and everything else. So like all of the back scene things that we worked on is going to be listed here. And something that you might, if you needed to see, how would this look like when we're implementing it and seeing in practice, then here we give a little bit more context of how this would look like. Um, we have a graphic here where we're talking about a perfect example was the Google Apps training that was shared. So how do you kind of integrate some of that to start building that adaptive problem solving, to kind of figure out that troubleshooting, and then building that resilience? Using a tool every day, like I saw in the chat with Burlington English and Google Classrooms, provides that opportunity for them to practice and start to recognize some of the steps that they need to work on. And again, the plan goes over that, in which I wouldn't read it out to you, although we could do an audible, right? Audiobook, Jose version of it. But here, then you would see a couple of examples. We have as in the ESL classroom, we have a career pathways, and we have a GED approach. So that way you get to see like how you could see this plan under those three lenses, as an example. And those that already have attended our sessions, there is implementation sessions that we do to help support with digital literacy. So anything that you need, we are here to help walk you through kind of figuring out your specific scenario and how you will support your agencies and your students. So here we're going to see the appendices. And in this instance, we are, get the chat in case, okay. In the appendices, we're going to see the different resources, right? So appendices B, C, and D are together. We just broke it down into three pieces so that you can, this is the bigger piece of it, but there's resources there that are very useful if you're trying to get students to self-assess or have students kind of create their own digital learning plan. Let me stop sharing for a second. If there's any questions, I need to pull something up that I didn't have. Give me 1 second. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay. Let's go jump back in. Okay. So for each appendix, we have the title of what the tool is. We give you a little purpose in some context of how to use it and what you can do. The goal with these is that you get some of the how do you use it, and it will also what are the benefit of using it, and then of course you'll get like a quick start as to like some steps that you can do to start using that tool. This first one, not many people have seen it yet. We're currently into we're getting some feedback from some of the digital navigators on this one. But this one is if you're using technology, but you don't have specific a curriculum that you're using in the classroom. And basically, you answer these first three questions, and then you could generate an AI prompt response using this here, and it would give you some information as to like the alignment of skills, how does those skills look in with that particular tool, and then you have an aligned skills that you would see with based on North Star lessons, if there are Dart lessons aligned, and of course vocabulary words with links to the glossary and other things. I would, and I know some already have responded. There's some digital navigators here. Oh, I lost it. Okay, there you go. So again, I will share this out with you. If there's anything particular that you are interested in seeing, I'll give you a few minutes to kind of peruse through the appendix. And if there's anything that you want to me to show you specifically, I can. I don't want to show you each one because they're all different and they do different things. But let me share the link again for those that joined again. Here it is. So that is the link to the plan, to the actual like the PDF version of the plan. And what I could do is I could show you the first one, so at least you guys could get an idea of like what these do. Let me know if there's any particular one that you want to see. Give me 1 second. Let me reshare again. The checklist? Okay. Is that like that very first one? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it was right at the beginning. I feel like it might just give us an overview so that way we can have an
Yes.
idea of everything that we're going to be able to get
Perfect.
from it.
Yeah. Okay, doke. So I have here an example that I pulled, so that way you guys don't need to see me go through the full thing, right? But basically, this is the foundational digital literacy checklist. This uses the first three modules of the standards in the first three modules of North Star. We're looking at basic computer skills, internet basics, and using email. And what we would do, or what you would do when you have this, right? First thing, you will make a copy, right? So you'll go into File, you go to make a copy. I don't know if this you can see this pop-up window, but it'll give you like to name it, and then you could save it in your folder, whatever folder in your drive. And when you get out, and when you do that, then you have access here to your EdTech tool name. So in this case, I have GED.com. You select your program area. So you have Advanced ESL, GED, and ABE. They're the ones that I selected. In Advanced ESL, because we're looking at students that, you know, some of them may go into GED after. So we're playing the role that their students are going into ABE. And then we have here, what is the goal for the use? So you put in here, in this case, we have learners need to get familiar and develop proficiency with navigating the website, take the GED practice test, access available resources, and get ready to take and pass the GED test. So we're looking at the practice test, the resources, and to get familiar for the GED test. Once all of that is done, that is your step one. We go into our step two, which is an optional step. But based on all that information that you put in, it gets embedded into this cell right here, which would be the prompt that you would ask AI. So I would right click here. I'll click copy. And then I could go into any AI chatbot that you would use. In this instance, I've been going into Gemini because I like the format of how it provides the response. And the thing that I do here is once I open it, I'm already signed in. I'll right click and I'll paste. This is going to put in everything, and I'll just show you you don't need to memorize this because all this is automatic from that checklist. But you get all of the standards that it's trying to see what it aligns. It takes the tool that you use, what is the population that you're working with, what is the goal of you using that tool in the class, and it's going to make an alignment with digital skills based on those three modules that we talked about. And I would submit and let AI do its job. Again, this is not replacing what you do, what you would do. This is just a good starter for you to, instead of looking at them all, you could kind of see it does a pretty good job at giving you the skills that align to that and can help you prioritize which ones that you want to work on. So here, right, it's a pleasure to work with a fellow educator, playing the role as an adult education tech expert. It talks a little bit about GED, and then it'll give you the alignment. So you have basic computer skills. It identified skill 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. Under internet basics, it identified skills 3, 5, 8, 9, 13, 15, 16. And for each skill, as you can see here, it'll list what that standard is, but it'll also tell you why it's identifying it. So in this case, it'll say practice tests or score reports occasionally open in new windows that browser blockers might stop. And then here it'll give you the same for using email. So then here, like log into email, learners must access their email to verify GED.com account. Open and reply to an email required to click verify email or reset password link sent by GED testing service, and it'll do that with everything that's selected. In addition to that, it will give you a summary of skill focus by task. And here it will it will just list what does that skill look like when you're using GED.com in this instance, or any other technology that you decide to do on your end. And they'll list again, it'll reference the skills. And then once this, right, we have this as a quick tip. It says many find a hand pointer particularly helpful to identify because it provides a visual hint that a word or image is interactive, which can help overcome some language barriers while navigating the site. And this here, it's a quick tip. This is just extra. You could ask a different question. It'll prompt you questions to do. You could continue that conversation. And then from there, I already have my list of skills that it shared. And what I could do, fast forward, I selected the skills that align to that particular to that task. So I could check or uncheck based on what I see, and I'll go through that for all three modules. And once I'm done, I could go here. I'm clicking on basic computer skills down here on the bottom. And when I click on this link, it's going to give me only the skills that I selected, highlighted, or I checked on the basic computer skills. It'll give me the alignment for North Star. They all have North Star. It'll give you an alignment for Dart if it's applicable. And then you have your vocabulary words, they're bolded here if they are available in the glossary from Bridges. And then this is exclusive to the computer skills. Then you have some of the in context examples. So if you're using keyboard, which is one of the skills that you would need to practice for a GD student, then you have an interactive keyboard that we put together that is aligned to the Dart curriculum. And you also have the typing.com here. If you're looking at the mouse, then you have mouse program, which tends to be one of the big favorites because you can, the famous double click, you have to know how to double click. If you go to slow, nothing happens. But if you double click the squirrel moves. So then, not that you're going to have a student doing this for 30 minutes, but it's a good warm up activity. First 5 minutes, they could go and practice some of these skills. And then the other one that's good for practicing is highlighting. So called the I-beam. So here, please select word 6. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So out. I highlight out, and then I check, and I got it. Right. I don't know if you can see that pop up. So I click OK, and then I'll have another word. Please select word 4. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 3. And I click check. Nothing happens. I need to select the actual correct word in order to get it. And then this helps you highlight if you need to practice with the touchpad, if we need to practice with the mouse. Then these are some practice activities that are aligned to the skills from that activity. From the skill that you're trying to practice. And this is one of the appendices, right? This is not going in depth with a full curriculum. You're not going from lesson 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. You're just targeting the skills that you're using to develop. You're targeting the skills that you want the learners to develop in the classroom. Any questions with that example? So we have I'll go over C. I think it's B. Give me 1 second. As I mentioned before, B, C, and D are together, right? They're all one checklist or spreadsheet. Um, what I would say with this one, let me click on it. This one is going to be, oh, it opened in the same tab. Second, I don't want the same tab. Oh, sorry for the scrolling. 1 second. This is another example, right? This is going to be more like a agency focused or a program specific resource. So let's say that you are looking at not, you don't want to go on the full curriculum because you have a limited amount of time with your learners. You want to work on specific tools with your learners, because you have 2 weeks worth of content that you could share. So you want to evaluate what is available. So what you would go to, and again, this is all in the instructions, but you would go into the diverse learners and I can statements. And in this one, which is very small, let me make it a little bigger. In this instance, you have all of the Bridges digital skills here listed. So you will select any skills that you would like to focus on. So we're doing set privacy settings, communicate effectively. Let's say they may build a website. We don't know yet, but we're trying to see like what the range is. Let's say, well, they need to use the mouse and keyboard because some of them are struggling with that. And let's say use and apply information. These are the skills they want to focus on with our learners. And what happens, right, is that you have to look into curriculum and kind of identify where is that alignment happening if there is something in that curriculum. So what we do is that once we selected all of our skills that we're looking at, we go into the framework correlation. And when we get to the correlation, this is where the good part happens, the good stuff. You have all of the skills that you already highlighted, they really checked off. Here, it'll say true, and it'll be in the same color. So then this is a skill that you selected. You could see how many modules are correlated to communicate effectively. North Star has 4. You could see the ISTE standards, what ISTE standards align with communication with this particular, these are a specific standard, right? There's nothing in Dart and there's nothing in Google Applied Digital Skills, which, by the way, we actually updated it. So with the last update, this might change in the near future. So we'll have these numbers updated. But you'll look again, you can continue looking, set privacy settings. We have 1 North Star and 1 ISTE, and so on and so forth. So this will give you a bird's eye view of what you need or what's available that's already aligned to what you're looking at. As you see, understand and use data, you only have 1 North Star, which I could actually click on this plus, and I could see what it is, which is Microsoft Excel. I can hide it again so I don't have to see everything, right? Then I go again. We have ISTE. ISTE is the computational thinker. It's the correlation. So we have 1.5.A and 1.5.B. So if you have resources that are aligned to ISTE, then this will give you that opportunity to see those resources, right? There's nothing in Dart here, as we can see. And there's 25 in Google Applied Digital Skills. So then in that instance, you're like, okay, if I'm working with students that I know and I'm working with this particular standard, I know that I need to work with Google. And because Google is a more applied piece, you need to make sure that they have like the foundation skills in order to get onto the platform. So again, this helps you kind of plan that agency-wide approach or program approach on how you would approach digital literacy and what factors and pieces that you would need so you could plan accordingly when you're bringing it to the classroom. And just to give you another fun little piece here, where is it? When you, if this might be too small for you to see, but in the options here on top, I don't know if you can see the mouse going left and right. You're going to see there looks like two spreadsheets, like one on top of the other, very small. There's something called filter views. So when you click on the filter view, you could click on number one, selected skills view, and this would only show, again, the same skills that you highlighted. So if you wanted to see less, and let's say I wanted to print this out, so I could talk to my team about it, you could print it out. You have the skills, and then you could say, okay, so we based on what we selected here, we have some resources, and then you could start doing that planning and conversation as to how would you approach that customized digital learning plan that you're doing at your agency. Now we saw like a teacher approach. We saw this like agency approach. Let's look at a learner approach. So in this same checklist, right, we have the assessments checklist. And here we have, I need to maybe scroll here a little bit to the side. We have self-assessment checklists for all of the domains in Bridges. So if we click here on the first one, this is communication. What's going to happen is that on the top right, you'll see use template. This will make a copy for you so you could use. For purposes here, I will actually, let me zoom in. There we go. So you have this communication checklist. It's only by domain, so you're not having them do, there's total 75 skills. You don't want to give 75 questions to them to answer like how comfortable they are. But you have here communicate effectively, and then they could evaluate, if they can do it independently, they can do it with occasional assistance, or if they can't do it or they haven't done it before. And then it'll ask in different contexts here, in different scenarios, and there's all regarding communicate effectively. And then you go again into collaborate with technology and so on and so forth. Because you can make a template, you can decide how much or how little you want them to work on. So again, if you already made that predetermined selection of skills and you know what you just want to talk to them so you can get a better range of how much or how digitally flexible they are, then you are able to, you could use a checklist like this, which is, ready for you to use. Once you make a copy, you could delete or you could add, and you can, share with them. And then that way get your, without going into too specific, and some of you were sharing that you guys have Google as your tool to use. I mean, your platform to use, then this would be a way that you can, use Google Forms to, in addition to practice forms, but also like do a self-assessment at the same time. Any questions, comments, anything else you want to see? We have one more thing that we'll be sharing, but I'll wait for that for the end to show you. And these are two of the appendix that we were looking at. Um, we have our digital literacy curricula page that we shared throughout our sessions, which is down here. I could show you the Google one because Google is new. We updated the, here we go. We're gonna go to Google. We updated the alignment on the website. So now all of those are up to date. All of the links are working, unless I missed one. But you see here, of course, that beautiful digital literacy spectrum here. I have a little introduction of what it is. And you have here the alignment. So right now, digital, I'm trying to zoom out a little bit. Here we go. The Google Applied Digital Skills targets 8 of the 10 domains. And this is communication, you have asked for feedback. As you can see, there's some in context for Google, and things like that. You have under creation, you have some more. Let's see, where was the other one? The workplace. So some of these will repeat, like as some of be a reference, is in both communication and in workplace. But then you have, organize your time with digital agenda, prepare for your first day of work, research and develop a topic. So you have different ones that you can see here. Oh, these are not linked. Okay, this will be ready for you later tonight. So if I click here, prepare for your first day of work, for example, it'll take you into the new platform under Google Applied Digital Skills. You have all of the information here. They have lesson plans and all of that. So if you instead of searching to see what works, you can go by domains here and you could see what's available. If there's nothing that's available, like mobile, which is one of the ones that are not here, you won't see it as an option. So you won't be surprised going into one and has 0 resources. We also link here, right under after the description for that domain, the link to go into the Google Applied Digital Skill, no, to go into the Digital Skills Library, which those that have attended, some might have seen Jeff Gumas, which is one of the um, lead working, like lead project lead on the bridges, then you could access like additional resources there. So if you know that you were using this online life, use tech responsibly, then you'll have different resources here to kind of continue to extend or differentiate based on what you're working on with your learners. If you needed additional practice, right? Any questions, comments, or thoughts? Oh, there you go. There's a couple of things. You would love to see, you mean the alignment or? Oh, okay. You're welcome. So I would say if I will show you one more thing, right? So those that have been attending our sessions, we have been working on our on-demand versions of it, right? This is not released yet, but we go into more interactive, more fun to a way to experience this versus reading it through the plan itself. Um, but we've gone into in depth with some of the pieces that we let me scroll here 1 second. The chat is in the way. We have gone through some of the content that we've been doing in PD, and we kind of combined to do like a on-demand training that you guys could also attend. So that way we're working on, for those that have attended, of course, knows my big circle, the big circle analogy that we talk about with regard to digital skills, and then how that looks like when we're applying. So all of this is kind of put it into an on-demand format that we'll be releasing later um, later this month regarding the different um, curricula. So it's North Star, Google Applied Digital Skills, and DART. And I'm going to share. Oh, that's not the one. Uh, let's share tech support link. So if you go through that plan and go through the appendix, you see something that you would like to do, that you would like to use, and you need to talk and reach out. You are more than welcome to schedule a tech session with us. You can also email us, which I'm adding my email here. I can type it. And we have these. Oh, the ticket is not here. Mary Kate, if you want to put the ticket system here, I thought it was up here. It's not. Oh, here it is. My bad. Found it. This is our asynchronous version of tech support. So if you need to reach out, either way, we are here to help. It's been. Oh, what happened? Oh, there you go. Found it. Found it. Found you guys. Yeah, so with that, if you guys, I'll stay here for a couple minutes if you have any questions. If not, well, thank you very much. I will send out an email following up with the link to the page and additional information. And yeah, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.